Next stop, Chicago Junction.
Yes, it's Chicago Junction, being the radio program that is all about everything that is railroad. Now here's our boss, the head of the Windy City Hometown Radio Network, as well as being the chief electrical engineer, Mr. John DeVita.
Well, thank you, Brian. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another broadcast of Chicago Junction from the John DeVita Broadcast Center on the Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network and on Jack FM 89.7 WRHS FM Norwich on Wednesday, August the 13th. Today, the panel will be talking about railroads and model railroads. And now, to start today's broadcast, here's our announcer, Brian.
Now, here is our host with the most, Mr. Jack Red Ryan.
Hello, gang. Hello. Hello, wherever you are, and welcome. And I guess this is where the buck passing stops. Who said that? Harry Truman, wasn't it?
Yes.
Okay, good man. Well, we got a full plate tonight, so we have to get rolling, and everybody has announcements and things to talk about. We have 3 call-ins scheduled, so we're looking into a way of having others call in, but it'll take a little notification to begin with, since we don't have a live broadcast, but it would really help. So, starting on my right, Kevin Barry. Yes, sir.
Good evening.
And what is your affiliation?
I am a diehard rail fan and a member of the Chicagoland Lionel Railroad Club.
Okay. Dave?
Dave DeRuska, retired locomotive engineer from a number of railroads.
Doug Kenyuk?
Doug Kenyuk, yes. I'm with the Railroad and Short Lines Club of Chicago. That's rscc.dhke.com. We have a meeting on September 19th. Passenger trains of the 50s. October 17th, South Shore Freight Railroad presentation, and that's by the president of the railroad. And on November 1st will be rail fanning in Chicago in general by Mike Schaefer. And December 19th is steam trains in Germany.
Oh, very good. We're going to try to link everybody's eventually. That's another thing we're going to do, to our own website, windycityhometown.com. So, Brian?
Yes, Brian Blue. I'm a retired railroader, U.S. Navy, and also a rail fan.
And your clubs are what?
I belong to the Chicago Area Garden Railway Society, www.cagrs.com, and we meet the fourth Sunday of the month out in Itasca at the Holiday Inn, talking about garden railroading. I'm also a member of Operation Lifesaver, and we have a big event coming up on the 14th through the 20th of September. Is going to be nationwide Rail Safety Week.
Okay.
So be look out if you go towards the train station and such. You'll see what they call station blitzes. People from Operation Lifesaver, like myself, handing out information and talking about Operation Lifesaver.
Okay. Next, Tom McKenna, a regular member, is not here. A vacation trip, I believe. I was going to say on assignment, but they'd say assignment to where? So I don't want to get run out of the town on a rail.
Mantino.
Pardon?
Mantino.
We have a special guest star, Fred Kaiser, from, what club is it, Fred?
The Midwest and Pioneer N-Scale Club.
Okay, and do you have a website or anything?
Yes, we're in Broadview. We have our website is midwestnpioneer.org, and we're at 2000 25th Avenue in Broadview, between the Eisenhower Expressway and Roosevelt Road, in a one-story light manufacturing building, and you come in through door A.
Door A. Gus Doré, right?
Door A. Yeah.
Okay, and I happen to say, I want to say that Fred and I are from the same neighborhood. He's a few years ahead of me in school. Went to both same schools. Neither one was Montefiore. St. Rita Grade School, St. Rita High School, St. Theodore Grade School, right? And the neighborhood would be called West Englewood. So around
That's right.
63rd and Ashland, 63rd and Damon. So that's just happened to run into him at the radio show, a railroad show. And hey, look here, I know this guy. So anyway, I want you to feel at home and feel like if you want to come back sometime, let us know. Anyway, first up, what we got a call? Oh, we have a call already. It's already working. Hello, caller. Are you there? Hello.
Hello?
Hello.
Yes, hello?
Yes, caller. Is this Jonathan Scott?
Yes, it is. Is this Jack Ryan?
Yes, sure is. How you do? Pleased to meet you.
And you too as well, sir. How are you tonight?
Okay, and you are the curator of the Southern Museum?
That's right. The long-winded name, Southern Museum of Civil War and Locomotive History in Kennesaw, Georgia, but we just say Southern Museum for short.
Okay, and you're the curator?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and this is the first time we spoke, and I spoke to Miss Wilson, Sarah Wilson, on the phone, and she lined up everything. So, anyway, can you tell us all about what you have there?
Sure, yeah. The Southern Museum, it's about a 45,000 square foot facility. We have three main exhibits that tell the story of locomotives during the Civil War and in the years after in the South. Our first exhibit looks at railroads and technology and how those shaped the course of the Civil War. We then go up past Reconstruction into locomotive building in the southern states after the war with a case study of the Glover Machine Works of Marietta, Georgia, and that's actually a Smithsonian accredited exhibit. And then we're probably most well known for our third exhibit, which tells the story of the Great Locomotive Chase of 1862. It began right about where our museum is located in Kennesaw, and we have, of course, the General, the actual train from that raid. So we kind of run the gamut as far as locomotive-related objects and narratives.
So this is the General, correct? The two films were made about it, Buster Keaton and then the Great Locomotive Chase by Disney?
That's right. She wasn't in either of those movies, but they are about her, yes.
I know. I mean, the real story was the real engine from the story.
Absolutely. Yep.
Now, I can recall. God, this is 30 years ago now. I can't believe it. The kids were small. We were coming down on the interstate, and what is the main interstate close to you?
Interstate 75.
That's
probably.
what I thought. Yeah, and we see the sign says the General. Another one says Big Shanty Museum. Isn't that what it was called before?
Yeah, the Big Shanty Museum, that was the first name of our facility. It's changed names a couple of times, but that was the original name dating back to 1972.
And I said to the family, "Oh, we're stopping here on the way back for sure," because that's the interesting thing about when you take a automobile trip, you run into all things along the way you're never going to expect and whatever. So, anybody, any questions or any observations, or Brian?
Not to take anything away from you, sir, but where is the Texas located?
No worries. The Texas is located at the Atlanta Cyclorama. It's a museum in downtown Atlanta.
Oh, well, that was the one he chased it with. Is that it?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, one of the three engines that William Fuller used that day of the raid.
Oh, so you've got them pretty close to each other yet?
Yeah, well, the Texas is owned by the city of Atlanta, and the General is owned by the state of Georgia. So there are two different facilities for two different engines.
Do they ever get to visit each other?
No, they the last time they saw each other was more than likely April 12, 1862.
I understand the General almost went to the scrap heap. Is that true in the 30s, or what is that?
In 1891, the Nashville, Chattanooga, and St. Louis, or NC and St. L Railroad, they just acquired the Western and Atlantic Railroad line, and they were going through their stock, and they found this old banged-up locomotive from 1855, and so they put her out on the siding. Of course, she was the General. They put her out to pasture for about a year or so, just intending to scrap her. But then a local historian and photographer found the engine about a year later, and he petitioned the railroad to save her both for historic and financial reasons.
Yeah, I know, and it looks just beautiful there. We've seen pictures of it, and you do have a website. Is that right? Is that southernmuseum.com or .org?
.org, actually.
.org, yeah.
www.southernmuseum.org. Yes.
Very easy to remember, and anyone will be happy to go there. And anyone traveling, say, to Disney World or somewhere in Florida, be a very good side trip for you.
Yeah, we get a lot of traffic from folks who just see our billboards on 75 and they decide to make a little detour. It's a great stop if you're heading through the area.
So, What else can you tell us?
Well, what would you like to know?
Oh, some winning lottery numbers, maybe, but
Yeah, you and me both.
this is the wrong place for that. Yeah, well, it sounds like you've really expanded the facility, and the next time we come down that way, any of us, I'm sure, would be stopping you off. Anything else? Any questions or any observations for anyone? Has anyone been there before?
No, I haven't been there.
Anyone? I was, so.
Oh, when were you there?
1984.
Okay.
1984.
Yeah, we were a lot smaller then. We were only about
Oh.
2,000 square feet. You walk in, and there's the general, and that was about it, right?
Yeah, but it was well worth it, so.
Absolutely. But what we've done since then is the original building that the engine was in, we've expanded around that. So that building is now basically just one room. And we're like I said, about a 45,000 square foot facility now with these 3 exhibits and the kids area. So it all kind of ties back together with the general. But the story is much more all-encompassing now when you come back.
Doug Kenyuk, you have a question or some observation?
Yes, sir. What else besides the general do you have there, and what kind of models do you have there for trains?
Sure. Well, as far as locomotives go, we do have 3 full, rather narrow gauge engines that are in various stages of construction that were salvaged from the Glover Machine Works. This was a locomotive factory in Marietta, Georgia, that built engines from 1902 until 1930. And then in 1930, the place just shuts down. The company retools, they start making industrial pipe fittings. But when they did this, they took the locomotive side of the business, they shut the doors, and they went home. And it just stayed like a time capsule for the next 65 years. So in 1995, when the factory was finally going to be demolished, we go in, and there's these locomotives that are just half-built, just sitting there with thousands of wood patterns for building new ones. And because of this, we're able to go in and recover these engines. So there's the Glover Works basically built short line and industrial engines. So there's a full industrial engine from the Splint Jellicoe Coal Company of Tennessee. And then there's an unassembled boiler and locomotive chassis from another engine that never found itself a home before the works went under. So we do have a lot about locomotive construction and the entire process, from blueprint to pattern to casting to machining, and then finally constructing in an erecting hall. And it's the only rebuilt locomotive factory floor in the country, from a belt-driven assembly line, I should say.
Okay, and how are you supported?
Well, we are owned and operated by the city of Kennesaw, though we do have a private arm, which is the Kennesaw Museum Foundation. So we're a public-private nonprofit.
Okay. Anything else? Anyone? Well, thank you very much. And we're going to be our own website of WindyCityHometown.com. We're going to be start linking, and we'll link you up as soon as we can.
That would be great. Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me on. And again, southernmuseum.org. Stop by, see the museum. We'd love to have you.
Easy to remember, easy to get to.
Yes, sir.
If you're going that way.
Take care.
Thank you very much.
Bye now.
Okay. And who's up next? Who's got something to talk about?
I got a couple of quick
Good.
notes, if
Good.
I may. Coming up at the Chicagoland Lionel Railroad Club, September 20th, will be our first open house of the season from 9 a.m. until 3 p.m. We're located at 1311 South Schoolhouse Road in New Lenox. And the following Saturday, the 27th of September, will be our second Lionel new product presentation from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. From 9 to 10 will be new product demonstration. From 10 to 12 will be hands-on. People will be able to work with the new products. And then at 12 o'clock, of course, the diner will be open for an hour before we close at 1. There will be dealers present. Right now we have a commitment from 2 different hobby shops to be on the scene with merchandise for sale and taking orders on new Lionel product. It's a $4 fee for the event, but everyone who attends will receive a Lionel catalog. And if you were to go to a hobby store, a new Lionel catalog would cost you more than the $4 to come in, so you're actually ahead just by coming out to see what's out. There are the new Lion Roar controllers are perfect for young train fans because there's no standing over the transformer, working the transformer anymore. There's a handheld controller to adjust the speed and the bell and the whistle, and there'll be Lionel product there from the youngest first-time operator to the veteran.
Everything in between.
A lot of stuff in between, and the Lionel Chicagoland Lionel Railroad Club layout is user-friendly. The buttons to activate all the accessories are mounted on the outside of the layout, so all the visitors have to do is press one of the big multicolored buttons, and it causes that particular accessory to activate, whether it's the crossing gate or Mel's drive-in, or about the only thing they can't operate from the outside are the controls for the drive-in movie theater. I refuse to give them up. And we show vintage 50 and 60 movies on the drive-in.
Not a good drive-in horror schlock or stuff like that? Or?
Well, I object to the term schlock, but if you want to see the original War of the Worlds or Creature from the Black Lagoon or even the incredible Mr. Limpet, you might find it being shown. And if you're there in March, you definitely are going to see The Quiet Man.
What's that? Very funny, I know. I've seen it once or twice. So.
It's a sad Irishman you are, John Red Ryan.
Yes, it is indeed. Okay, Dave DeRushka, you have anything?
No, all kinds of stuff. All
Good,
kinds
let's
of
hear it.
stuff. Yeah. Good. From the world of real railroading here, we have the next phase of high-speed rail work is expected to start in September or October to Normal, Illinois, and that's through the Illinois Department of Transportation. They'll be doing track work, improving crossings for greater safety with 4 quad gates. Let's see what else they have. Positive train control will also be installed in the pad in the middle of each crossing. If a vehicle is stuck on the tracks, it sends a signal to the train warning them. If the engineer does not respond, the signal continues. The control causes the train to shut down. By 2015, trains will be able to travel at 115 miles per hour on that route, cutting half hour off the current time for that stretch. Next phase of work will focus on improvements on the Carlinville to Alton route, which should be completed by 2017. Meanwhile, environmental studies are underway on improvements on the Joliet to Chicago and Granite City to St. Louis stretches. Plans, this is another news item, plans in motion to bring Moline to Chicago Rail one step closer. Railroad plan to route between Chicago and Moline has taken one step further. IDOT has announced that the Iowa Interstate Railroad has agreed to start design work for a portion of the route for new passenger rail service between Chicago and Moline. Also, 9 Indiana-Ohio mayors signed an agreement supporting Chicago to Columbus passenger rail service. And that's more of an intent thing. The rail corridor feasibility study concluded that approximately 2.1 million riders would use the Chicago-Fort Wayne-Columbus route in 2020, with that number growing to more than 3 million in 2040. The study also estimated that for every dollar of investment, $1.70 would be generated in economic return through job growth and increased property values. The study was completed in 2013 by Transportation Economics and Management Systems. The 300-mile-long passenger rail corridor would operate up to 12 trains daily, each direction along the route. Express service would link downtown to Columbus in less than 4 hours. Actually, I had another thing here, and we'll probably be talking to Bill Maloney, who's going to be calling in, one of our calling guests. He's a Metro advisor. He's on the Citizen Advisory Board, and he's been pushing for greater frequency of service on the Heritage Corridor route that Metro runs. Let's see what else we got here. This weekend, Metro tested some diesel multiple unit cars on the Rock Island. Now, diesel MUs are smaller, self-contained rail cars. Essentially, they're not they're locomotive contained in a rail car, and these cars were destined for Canada, built by Nippon Shiro, And before they went, they brought them here and tested them on the Rock Island for potential use on the proposed Star Line, which is a circumferential route around the city. And that's it for the news.
Okay.
Dave,
Doug, Kenyuk?
Didn't Rock Island test DMUs way back in the 70s?
The ravioli rocket.
Right. And then didn't Metro also test a bunch from Israel on the Milwaukee line?
That I don't know.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
They had
Yeah, there
them
was two sets.
right. They did the tour. They were from Israel, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So DMUs are not new on Metro.
No.
They just keep trying them out,
Well-
hoping to find one that works.
Well, they call them DMUs, but they used to be known as RDCs.
Okay.
That's correct.
Now I know what you're talking about.
And these are diesel hydraulic as opposed to diesel electric. They have a hydraulic transmission system, and my understanding was that they did not perform well.
Yes.
No, they didn't.
No?
No, they back Southern. I think it was Southern Pacific at the KMs, and they didn't do too well either.
Yeah, the biggest problem is American railroads are set up as diesel electric operations, and Metra's case, they're a EMD railroad. They don't have anything other than diesel electric motive division locomotives, and it's a big leap for the mechanical department to suddenly take on something as exotic as a hydraulic transmission. But I do believe that the DMUs can also be manufactured as diesel electrics.
Yes, they can.
Okay. Doug, you got anything?
I already gave you my list.
You gave it already?
Yeah. I ran down at the beginning.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, want to hear it again?
I seem to remember that now. Brian?
Yeah, well, the big thing that we've got in this area is the Thomas Weekend coming up at the Illinois Railway Museum this weekend and next. One of the another groups that I'm associated with,
Which is?
the Kenosha Garden Railway Club,
Mhm.
and they're set up out there for this weekend
How about next weekend?
and next weekend.
Will you be out there then, too?
Yes.
We'll look for you. We're bringing the grandson out there on the 23rd.
Okay. Let's see. When's the 23rd? That'll be Saturday. No, I'm not going to be there that day. That's going to be a killer day.
Oh, we gotta go. We got the tickets already.
Well, you have to go,
When you gotta go, you gotta go.
That's it.
Okay, I'm sorry to interrupt your time.
No, that's it.
Keep going, please.
But yeah, to do that, and again, like I say, we got everything still going strong at the Garden Railways at the Chicago Botanic Garden, and the big news is at the end of the month that the Leviathan, Chicago's own, is going to be running at the Versailles Bluegrass Railway Museum in Kentucky.
Okay, where in Kentucky is that? You know?
Versailles?
Yeah.
Outside of Lexington.
Oh, Versailles is the town.
Yes.
That's out of Paris,
Aha.
France.
Aha, yes it is. By the way, do they pronounce the capital of Kentucky Louisville or Louisville?
Frankfurt.
It's pronounced Frankfurt, that's correct.
But yes, the Bluegrass Railway Museum in Versailles, they'll be running there on Saturday, Sunday, and maybe also Labor Day.
It is near
Lexington.
Lexington, okay.
Yes.
Okay, that's
Yeah, it's about, an hour and a half, 2 hours south of Cincinnati on 75.
Okay. Brings us to our guest, Fred. Are you enjoying yourself, I hope?
I am, yes.
You are? Yes? And what else do you have to say? Anything about
Well,
what's going on?
I have a lot to say. You'll
Go,
probably
please.
want to shut me up after
No.
about
We
5
have to
minutes.
fill the airtime, you know.
Well, I represent the Midwest End Pioneer N Scale Club. For those who are not familiar maybe with the different gauges, N Scale is only about 1 inch high, and the rolling stock would be about 3/4 inches wide, and the track is only 3/8 of an inch apart. It's one of the smaller scales, but it's actually getting increased attention these days because there are so many new products coming out. We have a 60 by 14 layout, which may not sound large, but in O scale, that would be 240 by God knows what. It would take a huge amount of layout space to put what we have. in basically what's the size of a small store. It takes about 10 or 12 minutes to cover the entire route on the main lines. We can run a train in either direction, both with DC on the main layout, and then on a shelf layout, which is portable. We can take that to shows. We run that on DCC, which requires some special locomotive electronics. Right now we're at about 18 members. We welcome new members, and anyone over 18 has voting privileges. Under that, we have to have a parent along as a member. This is our third location since I joined the club in '96. We seem to be in a real nice, stable area right now because we pay rent, and that can frequently be a much more solid way to do business than using space available. So we intend to stay where we are for a while. Coming up, if anybody would be interested in visiting us in the western suburb of Broadview, we're at 2000 25th Avenue. Our phone number is 708-680-6858. And while that number is not monitored continuously, you can leave a message and one of our officers will get back to you. It's a good idea to call before coming. And usually men are there every Wednesday and Friday evenings. And we begin about 7 o'clock until 9:30, 10 o'clock.
And the website?
The website is Midwest N Pioneer, PIONEER.org. And we keep that updated with coming attractions. For example, we'll be having our fall open house November 1st and 2nd. That's a weekend, Saturday and Sunday. And we're open from 11 to 4, running trains. It's a great place to bring family members, and kids enjoy it because frequently they have never seen such small locomotives and engines. They're kind of in awe when they first see it. We'll be at the Great Train Show in Grays Lake, Illinois, which was just recently announced. That's going to be, it's actually a conglomeration of several previous shows that used to tour the country, and still do, but this is under new organization. It's called the Great Train Show, and it'll be at the Lake County Fairgrounds. That will be from 10 to 4 on 10 to 4 o'clock p.m. on both December 26th and 27th. That's a weekend. I know it's right after Christmas, but they have found that there's a lot of interest in doing train shows that week between Christmas and New Year's because it gives you some place to take the kids. And that's a good idea, I think. In our club, the members own all the rolling stock. That's the engines and the freight cars and passenger cars and anything like cranes and other maintenance of way equipment. The basic layout is all club owned, and all the engineering things like transformers and power supplies.
We got time for a break. We'll go right back to you after the break.
Okay.
A break, John. Time for a break, everyone.
Super quick.
Now a word from
You
our
are
sponsor.
You are listening to Chicago Junction on Jack FM 89.7, WRHS FM Norwich, and the Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network from the John DeVita Broadcast Center on Wednesday, August the 13th, the year 2014. And this is Jack FM 89.7, WRHS FM Norwich, Illinois. And now, back to our panel.
Well, where were we? We have Fred Kaiser, and you are the guest today from the, Midwest Pioneer
And Midwest and
Pioneer, okay.
Railroad Club.
Well, there you go. And where were you saying before about...
Well, I was talking about our layout and how members own the equipment. We bring our own stuff. But when you're dealing in N scale, it isn't like lugging Lionel engines under your arm. We can get all kinds of equipment in a cigar box, literally. So, although most of the fellows use these really nice padded boxes to bring their stuff. The neatest thing I think about our railroad is we have a lot of members who really wanted to do scenic work, buildings and scenery in general. We literally have small forests. We have a reproduction of the Wisconsin Dells with a section of the river, a coal mine, a logging mill with a pond and logs floating down some beautiful epoxy water, yard areas for storing and assembling train consists. And one of the more interesting features, I think, is we have a giant helix at each end, about 8 feet by 10 feet, where we can run trains up a circular incline or down that incline from an upper level shelf display to a lower level open floor display. And that, if anybody has ever attempted a helix, it is a challenge. They are just, there's a lot of geometry in there to try to use the wood efficiently. We spent months making those helixes, and they are a sight to see in themselves. People find that interesting. So most of the layout is at 42 inches, which gives kids a chance to see what's going on by dragging a little stool along. And then the upper reaches are more at the 5 feet level, which gives adults almost a straight-on visual look at trains without bending over. We have these 10 modules on the wall that we can take to shows, for example, like the Great Train Show. We also go to Richards High School in Oak Lawn. We'll be there October 18th and 19th. The hours there are at 9 to 4. That high school is at 106th and Central, and they do a great job every year. We'd welcome you to come out and visit us there.
Very good. Well, thank you. Thank you very much. As I said, we're going to start linking these up, everybody's websites, and we can. We're talking about that recently, and there's no reason we can't do it on the Windy City hometown. And John, do we have something coming up here? No?
Okay, Bill's on the phone.
Oh, hello. Bill? Bill Maloney?
Yeah, I can barely hear you.
Oh, Bill, can you hear that better?
You're still pretty faint.
Okay, can anybody else speak?
He's having phone trouble.
Yeah, what's that?
He's having phone trouble.
You're having phone trouble. Oh, well, we'll do our best here. Yeah, we're on the line is Bill Maloney from the Black Hawk chapter of the National Railroad Historical Society. And thanks for calling. Can you? I know seems like every railroad guy is a historian to a degree, but your organization, is that the main function, is research and history itself of the railroad?
Yeah, well, we're a chapter of the National Railway Historical Society, and we're a railroad historical society in the true sense of the word, but rather than focusing on the history of a particular railroad, our archival collection is focused on the various railroads, past and present, of our geographical area.
You got it right.
So we have extensive files on the railroads of Will County, southern half of Cook County, and the adjacent areas of northeast Illinois and northwest Indiana. It includes photos, timetables, movies, and other documents, and we regularly fill research requests for information from authors and publishers.
And you work closely with some of these clubs that we hear about?
I can barely hear you.
I said you work closely with some of the different clubs and
we've had our archives available, for instance, to Mike Schaefer. We've worked with authors, researchers, and books, publications, and different magazines. Mm-hmm. And we get research requests all the time from
preservationists, various people want to know when a railroad was constructed, what the train times were, what the station looked like, and that type of thing. And we pretty much have the information.
So a lot of research involved in this, right?
Yeah, and we also participated in a wide variety of railroad preservation projects over the years, such as the Griselli and Griffith Towers in Indiana, the Beecher, Plainfield, Simerton, and Seneca depots here in Illinois, and we've provided both guidance and financial support for worthwhile preservation initiatives.
Okay. Any questions or any observations? Anyone, please?
Bill, would you mind addressing your other hat that you wear with the Metro Advisory Council?
For a couple of years now, I've been Will County's appointed representative to the Metro Citizens Advisory Board, and it's strictly a volunteer position. It doesn't pay anything, not even expenses. But my job is to advocate and make aware of the Metro Executive Director and Board what the issues are regarding service in Will County. All of Will County pays the RTA sales tax, but only 6 communities have direct Metro service, and a few more have PACE bus service. The rest really don't have anything. And I realize Metro's in financial straits, so our most immediate pressing concern is to get increase the train frequencies on the Heritage Corridor that runs on the old GM&O from Chicago through Summit, Willow Springs, Lamont, Lockport, and Joliet, and soon Romeoville will have their station. But with only 3 trains a day in each direction, we don't have by far the least service of any of the 11 Metro service corridors.
Right, that's a 5-day service. There's no weekend service on that.
There's no midday, there's no evening, there's no weekend. And there's only 8 Metro stations in all of Will County, and I try and get around personally to inspect each one of them on a quarterly basis and then call to their attention anything that needs being addressed. It might be a crack in the floor, a missing fire extinguisher, just a broken window, anything that needs attention. I try to call it to their attention and get it resolved to make sure the stations are in a proper state of repair and well maintained.
So, what are some of the problems with increasing service on the Heritage Corridor?
Well, most of your board, I'm sure, is aware of it. Metro owns, for instance, the Rock Island from Chicago through Joliet and Blue Island. They own the electric line. They lease the Southwest service. They can put all the trains they want on there. With the Heritage Corridor, Metro is a tenant on 3 other carriers' tracks. Metro crews operate the trains, but Amtrak owns Union Station and the track out to Fort Wayne Junction to 21st Street. From 21st Street down to the north side of Joliet and Jackson Street is the Joliet subdivision of the Illinois Central, which is operated as part of Canadian National, and then from Jackson Street south is Union Pacific. And the carrier in the middle there, Canadian National, has been very reluctant to relinquish additional track capacity to Metro. They seem to think they need all their track capacity for their increasing freight business. And that's a valid concern, but the thing is, I'm hoping they'd be able to get Metro and Canadian National to negotiate in good faith and find a way to work it out.
Ideally, what would your goal be? I mean, how many additional trains would you like to see?
I'd like to see about 10 in each direction, but short term, we'd like to see a 4th morning train a little bit later than the existing 3, and an earlier evening train a little earlier than the existing. And Metro says they can do that with the existing equipment by, instead of just parking all 3 trains downtown in the morning, have one flip back, that head back out to Joliet, and have the equipment in position to be the 4th frequency. So basically it would go from 6 revenue frequencies a day to 8 revenue frequencies and 2 positioning moves a day in order to get 8 train frequencies out of 3 sets of equipment. Metro says they can do it, and they can manage it from the operational expense. It's just a matter of getting Canadian National to agree to it. That seems to be the impasse.
I'd like to go back to the Blackhawk chapter and the NRHS. You guys put out a great newsletter, the Spike and Tie, which I bring to the show all the time and read news items from. What are some of the programs that the NRHS supports nationally?
What was that again?
Some of the national programs that the NRH has.
Well, they have the Rail Camp program where they host a summer camp for high school age boys and girls, both on the East Coast and West Coast. It's basically a summer camp, and instead of having baseball or hiking or tennis or something like that, it's at a railroad facility where, under very close supervision, they safely learn about the railroad industry. Tuition is getting pretty expensive with Blackhawk chapter. We fund a scholarship. We sent a young man from Valparaiso, Indiana, to a rail camp out on the West Coast this year. But I think they have 12 positions on the West Coast and 24 on the East Cost. Then also the NRHS has a matching grant program where they have competitive grants where various preservation projects can apply for a grant. In this area, the Illinois Railroad Museum was awarded a $5,000 grant to restore their North Shoreline electrical liner equipment. I personally wrote a letter of recommendation for IRM to send in with their application in support of them getting the grant, and they were successful in getting it.
And the local chapter, you have monthly meetings except during the summer, correct?
Yeah, well, our chapter meetings are on the first Friday of the month from September through June here in Lockport, and the programs vary from month to month. It allows the members to socialize in purpose. Sometimes it's contemporary railroading programs, sometimes your vintage programs for 20 or 30 years ago, but the admission is free, and guests are always welcome to Blackhawk chapter events. And in addition, for quite a few years now, we've been running swap meets over in Northwest Indiana. We run them at the American Legion in Griffith, Indiana, on Sundays in January, April, and October. The next one will be Sunday, October 5th. And again, this isn't a fundraiser. Vendor tables are $15 each. Admission to the swap meet is free for the general public, and it's been an interesting, successful event.
Bill Maloney, Mr. Bill Maloney from the Blackhawk chapter of the National Railroad Historical Society. Thank you for being our guest and calling in. And do you have a website you can put out right now?
Yeah, you just search on Blackhawk NRHS on Google, for instance. It'll come right up.
Okay.
But
Okay.
membership in our chapter is $20 a year, and then membership in the national organization is $50 a year. And we're now accepting new members for the 2015 calendar year. And there's no age limitation. Our chapter members are a really broad age range. We've got some members in their teens and 20s and other members in their 70s and 80s. So we try to have something for every age group.
One other person here says, does anyone know Bill personally or no? Okay, I know. Yeah, Dave. Okay, no.
Yeah, Dave Druska is a member.
Fred Kaiser's sitting here with us. Do you know Fred?
Who?
Tell him I stopped by the table.
Well, tell him. You tell him yourself.
Well, I usually stop by the table and chat with you. I'm that skinny guy.
Well, that narrows it down. Well, thank you very much, and we'll be talking to you again. And we're going to try to link up when we start all this linking going on. Must be a missing link right now, though.
Okay, good talking to you.
Thank you very much.
Sure. Bye.
Okay. The Blackhawk chapter, National Railroad Historical Society, and that was Bill Maloney. Okay. Thanks for bringing it to attention, Dave.
Well, you're quite welcome.
You get a bonus for that in your check this month. Anything else going on, gang? Come on. Let's have something. Brian? No? Yes? No?
Yeah, I got more stuff.
You do? Okay. Yeah. Probably got another caller coming in too. Just about now.
We always have a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I can say the iHobby show will be in Schaumburg Convention Center at the end of September and the beginning of October.
Okay.
And that's going to be everything that's in the hobby.
Everything?
Yep.
I was trying to think of something I don't have there. Let me think. No, I'm not saying nothing like that.
No, that's okay, because another club I'm associated with, Midwest Rails, will have a layout set up in the lobby for people to look at, and we'll be showing off from some of the new trains from some of the manufacturers.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, good idea, yeah.
For the Garden Railway.
Good time. Good time.
Good time to be had by all.
I mean, it's a good time for that. Oh, we have another caller. Our system's working.
Go ahead.
Hello, caller.
Hello, I'm here.
Is this Brian Jonas?
This is.
I recognize your voice. This is Jack Ryan on behalf of our whole panel here. Kevin Barry, Dave DeRushka, Doug Kenyuk, Brian Valou, and our guest Fred Kaiser. Welcome. And gentlemen, I want you to know this guy's just back from his honeymoon. You went to Hawaii? Hawaii, you said?
Yeah, actually, I'm calling you from Honolulu right now.
You are?
We're headed out late
Oh,
tonight.
then you're on Oahu, yes?
Yes, we are on Oahu.
Yes, we were out there in March, actually. And it was a good time to be getting away from Chicago. Okay, you are the president of the East Troy Electric Railroad, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, let's hear something. We talked about you last time. Not about you, about your organization. But
Yeah, sorry to miss you last time. We're a museum. Ran completely by volunteer labor. We operate 7.5 miles of the last remnants of the interurban system in Wisconsin. We used to be part of 385-mile network, and in '39 our branch was abandoned all about 7.5 miles, which was actually purchased from the Milwaukee Electric Railway and Light Company in '39 from the town of East Troy that operated it for freight, and that's how our little chunk survived throughout the years. But nowadays we operate it for tourist rail. We actually have 2 destinations, which make us a little bit special from a lot of the museums. In one end, we have the Elegant Farmer. It's a farmer's market. They're known for their apple pie baked in the brown paper bag. And on the other end, we have our depot and town square and Lauber's ice cream parlor. So besides the rides, we also offer dining service. We have the only, and I'm going to say this very carefully, the only electric interurban dining in North America. So we offer regular dinner trains, which is a 4-course meal with bar on board, and we also just started pizza trains this past year, which has been very popular.
our producer John DeVitt is agreeing with everything you said very heartily, because he said he has his where's your place, John?
Elkhorn.
Oh,
Yeah, but Lake Wanawega and Lake Lauderdale.
Can you hear that?
Oh, I'm having a hard time hearing you.
Yeah, I told him already.
Oh, he told he has his cottage in Elkhorn.
Yes, right next door.
Yeah. So anyway, you're very accessible to anyone who's driving up that way. Am I correct? Going toward Milwaukee or Madison, or say somewhere in northern Illinois around Chain of Lakes?
Yeah, exactly. We're right next door to Elkhorn. Another popular place near us is Lake Geneva, which is just 20 miles south on 120. So it's real accessible from either of those places.
Are you very far from Twin Lakes or Beloit?
I'm sorry?
Are you very far from Twin Lakes, Wisconsin, or from Beloit?
Beloit is more like an hour from us, a little bit more. But not too far.
Close enough, eh?
Close enough.
I see you have special. You have special, like you had a Chicago weekend a couple of months ago now, or?
Yeah, we try to do special events. We just had Chicago Days where we pull out and operate pieces from Chicago. We had a South Shore car out, and we had a former CTA car, a 4000 series car. That just passed, but now we have Milwaukee Days on the home front, and we actually have one of the only remaining Milwaukee streetcars still operating. We just finished restoring it in 2000, and it is on display, and we give rides, so we hope to have that available for everybody.
Well, last month we talked. Everybody in the panel, I think, was familiar with your railroad, but I apologize. We're going to familiarize ourselves pretty soon with that. Am I right? Anybody else got any observation or questions? Yes, Doug Kenyuk, please.
Howdy, sir. Do you guys still run any freight service out to like Trent Tube and so on?
Freight service, we haven't done a move since 2002, but it's currently something that the board of directors is talking about. We actually are kind of interesting. At the parent company, we are the East Troy Railroad Museum. Then we have a DBA, which is the East Troy Electric Railroad. That's our tourist operation. And we also have a company called Wisconsin Trolley Museum. Now, that's a for-profit corporation, and that just handles the freight operations. Now, that company has been dormant since 2002, but like I said, that is something we are talking about at the moment.
Okay, anything else, anyone? No?
Well, I just want to say I had the pleasure of riding the dinner train last year on Sweetest Day, and they do sort of very fine meal.
Thank you very much. We really enjoy doing the dining services. Just something special.
Okay, what time is it in Hawaii right now?
It is currently 2:54.
Oh, okay. About time to watch Wheel of Fortune or something, isn't it? Or Jeopardy?
I'm not sure. We're trying to locate a shave ice place for our next treat.
Well, Kings Alley. It's good to get a call from you anytime, especially when it comes from Paradise there. Thanks very much.
Mr. Ryan, next time I'm up that way, I'm going to stop in, and with my sister and I'll meet you, because we're right down the road from you. We're right up around 12 and just east of Territorial Drive. So one of these weekends, we'll have my sister will come up and we'll take a. We've been to the Elegant Farmer many times, so I know exactly where you're talking about out there. So
excellent.
Okay.
I look forward to meeting you.
Okay, very good. Thanks very much for calling in, and everybody, let's wish him a lot of good luck because he's on his honeymoon.
And John will wear white carnations, so you know who he is. Thank you. Okay, got a few other things going on here. Let's see. All right, a couple of notes on the pad here. Illinois Railway Museum, which you mentioned before, Brian, bills themselves as America's largest railway museum, and I think that's pretty much, they can back that up, can't they?
In terms of equipment, yes.
Okay, and they're also having a band organ rally on August, what is this going to be now? I had it over here. Oh, yeah. August 30th to September 1st, that will be Labor Day weekend, and that's another thing coming up there besides the Thomas you mentioned. And then our friends over at the Fox Valley Trolley organization, they have a Riverfest Express Trolley Fest coming up August 16th and 17th. That's this weekend. And then, of course, they're accessible at info@foxtrolley.org. They're at 365 South La Fox Street. That's Route 31, Illinois 31, South Elgin, 847-697-4676. And, of course, you can contact Illinois Railway Museum at 800 Big Rail. Before we're getting into the closing moments, I want to tell the deep, dark secret that we haven't told about Fred. Now, Kevin's a retired police sergeant. I work for the police department. You were never my sergeant, though, were you?
No, thank God.
I don't remember. Yeah, well, yeah, thank God for you, anyway. And Dave Darushka, you were an engineer, a professional, correct?
Yeah.
So you were a professional in the business.
Yeah, I suppose. That's as professional as one gets.
Okay. And Doug, you were in academia?
Yep.
Where is that? Is that near
Wright College, Montrose and Narragansett.
Okay, and that's named after one of the Wright brothers?
Yep.
The wrestlers?
No.
No,
the airplane guys.
Oh, the airplane guys. Wilbur or Orville? That's Orville, isn't it?
They never specify which one.
Yeah, I think it is Orville, isn't it? Orville? We'll have to find out next time.
Not the popcorn guy.
Yeah.
Oh, Wilbur.
Is there a Wilbur Redenbacher? I didn't know that.
No, that's Orville.
Okay, Brian Valou?
Yes.
And your background is you were a Navy careerman?
I was, career Navy, 24 years, and then I became a railroader and conductor and then locomotive engineer.
Okay, and in the Navy you were what was your rank?
I was a gunner's mate. I retired as a chief.
Okay.
E7.
I was a draft dodger. I wouldn't know. No, I wasn't a draft dodger, honest. I was drafted, so. And Fred, from my neighborhood, same schools. Can you tell us what your profession is? Anyone want to guess? What's my line here? Or what? That's 2 down and 8 to go, Miss Francis. Mr. Surf. Okay, want to tell, or is there a secret?
Yes, I'll be happy to tell you. I'm a Catholic religious brother. I belong to the Augustinian Priests and Brothers, who staff several parishes and high schools in the area, Chicago and Joliet, or New Lenox, rather. And this is my 51st year as a Catholic brother.
Some guys just can't keep a job,
Most of that time was spent in ministering in high school situations and in Catholic parishes, in youth ministry and religious ed. And now I'm retired and free to pursue the greatest hobby on earth. Thank you.
Well, you're always working, though. Retired.
Well, you can't get away from mechanical maintenance, and that's what I did as a young brother.
What was it?
Then I went to school later when I was 30.
Oh, yeah.
And kind of joined the world of ministry. But,
were you one of those technical guys when they really had technical courses, or?
Well, I did take technical courses, but my earliest 15 years in the religious community were maintenance director at our Catholic seminary up in Holland, Michigan. And when that closed, I kind of retooled.
Mm-hmm.
Retooled into
you reinvented yourself, as they say now.
I
huh?
did, right. And somebody actually had the nerve to call me a Renaissance man one time. We'll see how that works out.
That's supposed to be a guy with all these multiple things, like Ben Franklin or someone.
That's right. That's right.
Sorry, the potbelly stove was already invented. So anyway, well, yeah, anyway, the high schools in the area are St. Rita and Providence and New Lenox, right? And formerly Mendel High School in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anyway, we're getting very close to the end, aren't we, John? Or we got a couple? Anybody got anything for a couple of minutes here? Or shall we sing? Yeah, Doug.
Well, some sad news. Apparently, the tourist railroad out in Hawaii shut down.
No. Where's that in?
Not sure which island it's on, but you know
it's
which
the
one
island
it is.
of Maui, and it's the Lahaina, Kanapali, and Pacific Railroad.
That was narrow gauge, wasn't it?
Yes.
And beautiful.
Yes.
Oh, gee.
Well, there's a train.
Well, they happened to have this hurricane come through.
Oh, yeah.
Might have caused a little bit of damage.
There's a
Just
train like
a little bit.
A train like that on Oahu also.
Yes.
Is that the same thing or?
No, it's 3-foot gauge, and it actually starts in Eva Beach on the old sugar plantation, and then goes past, goes out west, crossing in front of Barbers Point, which was a Navy Air Station, and starts going up the west coast.
Okay, it makes me think of a story. There's a newlywed couple disembarking from their cruise to Hawaii and Honolulu, and they spot obvious native Hawaiian on the dock, and the husband, the new husband, walks over and says to him, could you just settle this argument I have with my wife? Do you pronounce it Hawaii or Hawaii? He says Hawaii. He says, well, thank you. The guy says, you're welcome. So, oh no, okay, keep my daytime job.
We got another railroad shutting down too, and that's the Hollywood Railroad, the railroad that Hollywood shoots most of its movies at. The
Eureka Western.
No, Fillmore and Western.
Fillmore and Western, yeah.
Oh.
Well, it's on the old, the old Eureka and Western line.
Right, they're losing. I guess the municipality that they're in is
trying to sue.
Yeah, pulling their license to operate.
Boy, those doggone towns everywhere you go, isn't it? I almost said a nasty word. What will you be nasty about? Yes.
If we got a quick second.
Okay.
I forgot to mention that there's been a major upgrade at the Chicagoland Lionel Railroad Club. The Thursday they will actually install the new panoramic backdrop. The east wall will be 6 foot tall by 30 foot wide, and it'll be the downtown Chicago area. And then the 60-foot length of the south wall and 25 foot of the west wall will be 4 foot tall, and it will be selected scenery, including a petroleum plant, a coal mine, a section of the bridge on 355, and some other scenery. So if you haven't been to the club in a while, come out and see us.
Oh, when you're talking panoramic view, I thought you were talking about Monument Valley.
On that happy note, I want to wish
Would
everyone.
that we could, Brian.
Everyone, remember, happy rails to you.
Next stop, Chicago Junction.
Join us again next time when we take our railroads of imagination on our continuing journey through the wonderful world of trains. Chicago Junction is a production of the Windy City Hometown Network and can be heard over this station, as well as at windycityhometown.com, where the recordings of all our shows may be heard. Once again, all aboard! This is your announcer, Brian Valou, thanking you for listening. Oh yeah, the conductor was portrayed by Charlie Johnson, a struggling young actor in need of work.
You have been listening to Chicago Junction on Jack FM 89.7, WRHS FM Norwich, and the Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network from the John DeVita Broadcast Center on Wednesday, August the 13th, the year 2014. Chicago Junction was produced by Jack Ryan, directed by John DeVita. Audio engineer is James Rohde. Radio station manager is Kevin Zeflick. And the executive producer of Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network is John Chicana. This broadcast was pre-recorded on Monday, August 11th, the year 2014. Until next time, be safe, and thanks for listening.